Okay, so I have our document that we had worked and built on last week. And one of the questions that came up in that session, as well as in other sessions, is that when we, I'll show you here, just as an example, let me go ahead and unlock my content. But that when we made things buttons and we applied that effect to it all, like a bevel and emboss, I'll just do this one here, and a drop shadow, that we were able to get the appearance of a button, right? It looks like a button. However, if we then told it to be a button, convert to a button, and of course this would be like Instagram button, and what would it go to? It would go to the URL, and I'm just going to use the space one of Instagram.com. Whoops, I guess I should put that. End. Okay. Now, we can preview that button by going here and seeing if it actually works. But one of the things we realized last week is that when we do that, you can give me an expansion maybe. No. But you'll notice here in the window of the preview that it doesn't have the bevel, emboss, and drop shadow. See that? Even though it does hyperlink properly the appearance. Okay? And that should take us to. Oh, yes, I've been fine. There it is. You can see now. It actually has linked to Instagram.com, but I'm not going to get too much into that because I want to make a point of why this isn't showing up as a bevel and emboss. And when I showed you guys that last time as well, anything that was grouped, like this guy, they didn't show up as a bevel and emboss. Whereas if it was a single layer, right, not a group, it did. Well, some interesting things that we need to do about this to fix this problem, okay? Now, to get it out of a button mode or to remove the button, we need to go to interactive and convert it back to an object. Then I can go to my properties window here, and I'm just going to turn off any effect I put onto it just to get back to where we started. Now, the reason this doesn't work is because it's a group. See, if I ungroup it, now be careful now because now you see it's made up of all of its pieces. However, if we go to the bottom of the properties to this Pathfinder and we combine the selected shapes or objects, remember we did this back in Adobe Illustrator, if I combine it, now it will work properly when I go back to my effect, bevel and emboss, drop shadow, right click, interactive, convert to that button again. Instagram, where's it going? It's going to a URL of Instagram.com. And if I preview it now, you're going to notice that now the bevel and emboss does take. See that? So that was an error that occurred last week that we were kind of bouncing around ideas of why it wasn't working properly. But I did some research on it all. And you can think about that in any one of these scenarios, layers, where it's not showing up properly. Once again, what that tells us to do is before we convert it to a button, before we apply the multiple effects, or even ungroup it, see, that actually took it away. But before you ungroup it, if you combine a multi-object or multi-shaped object, then it will work if we go back in and add those bevel emboss, drop shadow elements. Now, of course, that may also throw off the animation because remember last week I showed you how to animate in the order you wanted to do. Now that I took that away, it may not animate properly. Let's go ahead and just show you here. Let me go ahead and reattach this as a button. And I'll call it my map. Where's it going? It's going to URL. And I should have this URL still saved here because remember it's going into the, oh wait, that's not the map. What am I thinking? That's the website. There we go. Now again, if I preview it, you'll notice it does hold its drop bevel and emboss effect. Now, that would not work if you had a multiple color, right? You wouldn't be able to combine a multiple color like that. It only works if they're all the same color. But if I fixed my email, my little letter here, and did that again, ungroup, take away the button, combine it, and then reattach a button with bevel emboss, it will work. And that would apply to anything that is, like I said before, made up of a group. See, so I have to ungroup these, combine them, and then they'll work properly. These, of course, would work properly because, you know, in fact, let's just go ahead and toss this on just to see if this actually works as well. Effect, emboss, drop shadow, and there you have it. See? So these buttons will appear like this in the final result. So that's one thing that came up last week that was an error or an issue. And I just wanted to cover that right now. All right. With that in mind, go ahead here and just give myself a little more free space at the bottom. I want to go over this idea of creating a gallery view, or what one could call a slideshow. And I'm going to put it right here. Now, in order to get this to work, you'll notice that one of the categories I mentioned last week that we want to think about is not just the skills, but maybe the software. And another option of doing this, instead of presenting it as just a list of software, is utilizing the graphic design interactivity of putting the software as icons and putting them into a gallery or a slideshow. So something you could think about is, well, what software could you do this with? Well, you might as well include the base Adobes, right? Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop. You could also include a Windows icon or a Mac icon or Microsoft Word, whatever you want to do with that. But because they're multicolored graphics, I'm actually going to use good old Photoshop here to do this instead of using a vector option in Illustrator, which I could do again if I wanted to just have a single color logo or icon graphic. Now, to get this to work, naturally, one of the things we're going to want to do is take care and get rid of all the white. So I'm just going to delete all the white there. And then I'm going to start in my layer section here, separating the logos I want. So maybe I'll start with Photoshop, Control or Command X, Control Command V. Maybe next I'll go into Illustrator here, X and V. Maybe then we go into After Effects. So I'm just going to do this in the order we kind of learned them all, X and V, and then Premiere Pro, X and V, Adobe Audition we learned, just or at least we saw it. And I'll go with Adobe InDesign. If you don't know these other icons, it's basically Adobe Lightroom, Adobe Animate, Adobe XD for interactive design. So in the end, I have all these layers holding on to my logo icons, and they're all about the same size, okay? Something else I'm going to do here, though, is I've got a Windows and a Macintosh graphic. Okay, so I'm just going to select that a couple of times. Go ahead and delete. So I have these now done. Let's go ahead and grab a Windows logo. But I'm going to paste it back over here because I'm going to need to resize it. And let's grab the Apple. Paste it there. Now I can rearrange them properly. Control T to scale them. And I'm going to scale them into the size of my square icons. But something I got to be aware of, and this is something that even the tutorial that Terry White covers, is that these overlap each other perfectly. But if I get down to show them, by the time I get to here, these do not overlap very well because they were cut out, right? So something I may want to do here, and I'm just going to make this go real quick. I'm going to select the outside of my box, do an invert select. Okay, select my apple, paint can, white, and fill. Oops, let me just do this. Now there's a little bit of an error in there I may want to clean up. And the reason why we want to have these non-transparent is because we don't really want to see through. If you see through them, you're going to see the images underneath. You can even see here where I could do a quick little fixer. 1 pixel. This is just because the Apple logo, some sloppiness in the cutout. Okay. So now I've got all these, right? But they're each on separate layers. So now I need to get these into InDesign. Now I could probably just drag them in there. See, I'm just going to minimize this. Or I could copy and paste them. So I'm just going to do them in the order here. Drag my Photoshop, hide it. Drag my InDesign, hide it. Drag my After Effects, hide it. That doesn't really matter if they're out of order right now because we can rearrange them later. That. And lastly, the windows. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close down my Photoshop now because it just is a beast right now. It's the 2022 version. So that now I've got all these selected. Now I may want to make a new layer for this. Let's see what I think it went into that folder there. Yeah, see, these are the where you at? Pasted graphic. These are the pasted graphics I just did, and I just put them in the wrong. Layer, so I'm just going to take this and now put them into its own layer that I can name, of course. I'll call this a gallery, or I could call it software. So I have these all in here now. Now I could, using easy buttons here, you see it's currently constrained, and I could come here and say, yeah, you know what? I want them to be a little smaller. Right? There we go. I'll say 1.4 just to make them a little bit smaller. See that? But I also have alignment tools, so I can align them center, align them horizontally, align them vertically, move them where I want them to be. There we go. So it doesn't want me to move them all at once, which is just bizarre. All right, so just rearranging them in a nice spot here. And again, once I get them all moved, then I can select them all, properties, and align them. There we go, perfect. So what we're going to do to turn this into a gallery is we're also going to need some buttons here that represent previous and next. Now I could go into Illustrator and make them. I could go find, arrow buttons or navigational buttons online and, do it in that sort of manner. But I'm just going to use my pen tool here. And just make a little triangle that represents previous and next. Go ahead, give it a color. Size it up a little bit, just like that. Go ahead and duplicate to the other side, and then do an object transform, flip horizontally. I could, of course, do the same process of an object, effect, bevel and emboss. Maybe I'll do a chisel hard. That. And a depth of 50%. Oops, I forgot to do a drop shadow. There we go. And you see the process now of creating these forward and back symbols or icons for buttons. I could even do this really quick. Let's come here and I'm looking for text tool. Software, right? Something quick, painless. Okay. Just something to say, hey, this is my software knowledge. But the process of doing this now, of making this turn into what is called or used as a gallery, okay, is these need to be converted to buttons that do the task. But this guy, the stack of all these icons here, I'm going to select them all, they need to be turned into what's called an object state. And to do that, it's an interactive task. So I'm going to right click interactive. I'm looking for where the object state is. Oh, let's find it right here. Okay, interactive object states. Now what the object states are, because they're all selected, what it does is it designates these, that these are command or controlled. All these icons are going to be controlled by buttons. So I can give the object state a name. Let's make a new, okay, so you see it's a multi-state. I could call it something like software state or something like that. And this is where I can go ahead now and rearrange what comes first, what comes last, right? So maybe I want maybe I'll make my Windows first, my Apple second, and then do this in order I originally intended. Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere, Audition, and InDesign. So this is the state that this gallery, or a better term would be a slideshow, can be controlled. So the first thing will be the state one, which is the Windows, then the Mac, then as you chug through this upon loading inside of an EPUB. So that's making it an object state. Now I need to designate these guys, interactive button. This will be previous, we'll call it previous icon. Okay, and on release or tap, and what's it going to do? It's going to do an action to go to previous state. This guy here, it's going to be a button called next state, or next icon, I could say, and that will go to next state. What state is it? Well, we only have one state here. You see in the object state, it says software state, which are those icons. If you had multiple galleries or object states, you'd have to choose which one these buttons are going through. You can even see I can do a stop at last state. I can make these printable or not. For example, this will not work necessarily if it is a printed resume, right? Because I'm going to be chugging through this. So I could very well make these be non-printable. Let's go ahead and test it out. So here in my EPUB, I can hover over, and you can see now I can literally control by clicking on the previous or the next button and go through this gallery process. That is pretty cool. So you can make, I mean, it's this, that, what I just made there is no different than when you're on Netflix or when you're on Amazon or you're, you know, shopping for something and it gives you a bunch of images, right? The little icons down below, and all you do is hit next, 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 or prior, and you can scrub through different images, different photos. That's why I called it a gallery. just because you could then, if your photographs or your artwork, whatever you're looking for here can be converted into that. However, once again, there's always a however here. If I just go with the traditional export as an interactive PDF, remember, that's why I showed you the limits of the interactive PDF compared to the benefits of publishing as an EPUB. You see, it does work as an interactive PDF with the buttons and so on, right? But remember, the pop-ups don't work. See, they work, but they don't let me close it. And my gallery, you'll notice, doesn't work. See? So interactive PDFs have their limits in terms of some of the options that we can do. It's an EPUB only function. Cool. What else can we do then? We're using that basic gallery element. What can we add to this? Well, I'm going to go to my properties with my entire document here. So last week I showed you where you could actually make a second or even multi-page version of this. So I'm just going to tell it to have 2 pages now. You'll notice, I zoom out, it has now added another page to my document. Well, what can I do with this page? You know, besides designing and coloring and making that all kind of nice and work well like that, right? I'm just going to leave it very basic white here now, but I can put a full-on gallery in here. So let's go ahead and say exploration and media tools. I'll go to After Effects and photos. Let me move this out of the way. And I can come here now and I can start to add a gallery or a slideshow or whatever you want to call it. Right click, fitting, fit content to frame. Watch that. I'm going to drag that one out of the way now. Let's go ahead and put this one in there. I don't know why that got bigger when I did that. Let's try that again. Okay. Let's go ahead and put this photo in there. Scale it up. I'm not going to do that many of these. I'll just do 4 pictures. But this is just another way of working it to embed, I don't know, to make an interactive gallery is the best way to describe it. Okay, so I've got all these lined up over top of themselves. Once again, I made them be the right size, right? So that as you chug through them, they all kind of fit over top of each other. You can even double check this by just doing that, properties, and aligning them like so. So once, just like we did before, with all of those selected, I can go to my interactive window option for object states, make them a new one. See, that loads them all up. This one can be gallery state. I can rearrange as needed here. I'm just going to leave it alone. Well, maybe I'll put this first. Yeah. Okay, so I have a new object state here, but this is kind of an interesting thing to deal with here. Is that in my interactive section for buttons, if I go to this little stack option here, I always call it the stack of coins option, you see sample buttons and forms. Well, what is that? Well, that means that InDesign has a bunch of pre-made buttons and forms that have already been designated as buttons. Now, it's not going to work if I need a specific color in here, but I can temporarily just grab these, put one there. Okay, give it a size. If I need to make it a color that works within, remember our properties, fill, I can find the colors that I've got here ready to go. The problem is that this pre-made button already has an assignment because it came from the button library. So if I go to my interactive buttons, this wants me to go through here again. Interactive buttons and forms, you can see that this is going to previous page. Well, remove that. I don't want to go to previous page. What I want this to do is, again, go to previous state. What state? The gallery state. See that? Again, I can make these non-printable. Let's go ahead and duplicate it. Object, transform, flip horizontally. Put this over where it needs to go over here. And once again, not to previous state, delete that, but rather go to next state. Which state? Gallery state. So that now I've literally created here a gallery. I could even come in here and say 2 pages, page 2, edit page, margins, columns, import file, you know, just a lot of neat little tools we can play with here. Here I can go into pages. It'll show me page 1 and page 2. Play around with this as well. But now that we've got a page 2, we need a way to get to page 2. Well, that would be up here. And what I'm going to do, let's do content. Here, I'm just going to move this over. Alt drag. Okay. Zoom in on this, and I'm going to say click here for image gallery. Okay. Now I need to tell this, though, to be a button that goes to what? Yeah, I'll call this gallery button. What's it going to do? It's going to go to next page. Then I need to do what with my page 2? I'm going to need to have a button here somewhere that goes to main resume or goes to first page. Put it right there. Return to resume. Oh, this is, I remember our big problem we always have here is that the type character style, not character style, type paragraph hyphenate is on. So let's turn off the hyphenate. If I need to even or center out the text here, that is actually down here in the paragraph option settings, right here. Which is, no, it needs to be here. Always trying to find out where this went. Paragraph styles, character styles. Where are you at? maybe it's a right click. Let's see here. Text frame options, I believe that's it. Yep, and that's where we get the vertical justification. I say center. Okay. And that will center that up. Now, this needs to be converted to the button. Window, interactive, buttons and forms. This is not the gallery button. This is now return to resume button. It is not going to go to the next page. Delete that. It needs to be designated to go to previous page or go to first page. So what we've done now, we can test that out by just selecting a button. Any button will do. I can go and do a quick interactive preview of it to see how this is going to work. Okay. Go to previous page. Gallery works. This is not working right now, so I need to figure that out. Oh, I see what I did. Somehow it got inherent zoom. Okay, go to first page, on release or tap. Go to first page. Yes, that should work now. Not work. What is the problem? Let's turn that off, delete that, and reapply the action. I can go to previous page. Maybe that'll be happier. Let me see. This might be because we're here. This gallery. Preview. Okay. So this is working still. Yes, let's go here. That's working, but this button still is not working either. So I may have an error going on here with these buttons where it doesn't know. Click here for gallery. I'll see that's inherent zoom. Go to next page, actual size. Release or tap. Okay, that should work now. Ghosts in the machine. If you get errors like this, and no matter what you do, now, one of my errors is probably giving me this because I was doing a lot of copying and pasting of buttons that were already programmed. So if you have that issue, remember, you could always go back, just convert back to an object. Let's go ahead and do that with duplicate as well. Right-click interactive, convert back to an object, and then just reinsert it as a button. Okay, button. I'll just call this return. What's it doing? Going to previous page. Here again, button. Gallery. What's it doing? It's going to next page. Let's see if they work. Try doing something here. Let's try saving. Just try saving it. I'll just call this resume B. And let's do an actual publish online to see if it works. Because remember, galleries only work as an EPUB. They don't work as an interactive document. I'll update existing. Friday. Okay. Let's view it. There might be some simple solutions here. I might have the layer locked. That's something I'm wondering. Up, see, it does work. Return. Up, go, go, go. Return. See, everything's working now. It was just something in the preview here that was not working properly. Cool, so it is working. Just needed to preview. Now, something else we can do here, like I said, there is this element that I'm kind of looking for, which is the, need to set it up. But there is an element I'm looking for as well, which is the video resume, or has gotten rather tricky inside of InDesign because it used to require you to use a Flash file, which was Adobe Flash file. Well, Adobe no longer recognizes Flash. Flash is being eliminated. So you have to embed it as a H.264 or an MOV or something like that. Now, you could just post it onto a YouTube channel that is not necessary, or a other drive, like a Google Drive. And then you could just do a button here that says click here, and it links to the URL or the location of that drive or of that YouTube. But we can also embed video into the e-document, right? So before I go here, because click here for video resume, I could actually come here, make that a button. That just simply will button, and I'll call this video button. And what's it going to do? It's also going to go to the next page. So that's where we can go to our next page here. And embed a video onto this page. Now, how do we embed a video? Well, we're going to place it. Okay, now I already have this video here that I recorded a couple whiles back, and it's not the greatest, but you see it is 111 megs. Be aware that by doing this, you're now increasing the size of your file, which is never really that good because it's going to take more time to load. But in the real world, it would be easier just to link it to a YouTube and have YouTube store it, which would make my file be as light and small as possible. But I'm going to embed it in here. Okay, so I'm going to select this video. Okay, and I'm going to drag it out here to create my frame, right? Now, you'll notice by doing that, it does not have controls yet. And right now, this video is just a big black nothing. There's nothing on screen. This is where we need to go into some of the settings for this video, which is, again, an interactive, but it's in the media section. You can see it's got it loaded up. If I hit play.
Hello, everybody. My name is Simeon Douglas Liebman. I've been teaching in the media arts and computer.
All right. Now, there's a thing called a poster frame. And for those of you that have maybe worked in YouTube or Facebook or something like that, know, oftentimes when you upload a video, it just randomly picks the first thing that you see. Well, I'm fading up from black, so it says poster frame from current frame, none, standard. I could also choose an image like a photo of myself or a logo or an icon that basically says, before you hit play, this is what you're going to see. I'm going to leave it at current frame, but I need to come and find the better frame, one where my eyes aren't closed. Let's just say that frame right there, and use current frame as poster. Okay, and now I'm able to set this to be the first thing that you see in the video before you hit play. You're also going to see the options play on a page load. That's not smart. You don't want something to play until someone has an opportunity to choose to play it, right? Nothing plays automatically. You go to YouTube, nothing plays automatically unless you hit the play button. You don't want to deal with that. You could also play in a loop if you want. I can also insert navigational points, which means where you could jump forward, or you can install points for ads like on YouTube. Those would be navigational points. Kind of think of them like chapters. But you'll also notice right now, it still is not giving me a playback interface. We have to preview it to get that to work. And now if you zoom in here, you can see it does give me a play button. It gives me a volume button. It gives me a maximum size or screen size button. And it allows me now to hit play.
Hello, everybody. My name is Simeon Douglas Liebman. I've been teaching in the media arts and computer animation industry for 18
I can
years.
go full screen.
I've been with SBC now for about 2.
Picture.
As far as my philosophy online,
look at that.
I really didn't teach online at all until
it actually sends it to the bottom corner, which is again, if what Facebook does or YouTube does. So you're learning all about how these platforms function and work here in the interactive element, which is built in InDesign to be able to do. And I can go back to the beginning if I want to. See, it's still not working in my preview. That's very curious, but I know it works. Okay, so I now have this ready to go. I have inserted a video resume or an about resume or something like that. And when it's done, I can go back. So I could literally do all kinds of neat stuff here. Let me hit save. But again, if I go to my export and I do this as a interactive PDF, what will work and what doesn't work. So we are dealing with the limits of the interactive PDF. And you see it's exporting page 2 as well. So I'm now going to literally have a 2-page PDF. Okay. So let's see here. Let's just click here for image gallery. Once again, these are not working. Oh, it's kind of cool. It actually gives me an initial color and a click color on that button. My video does not work in an interactive PDF. So what doesn't work in interactive PDF? Videos, pop-ups, animations, galleries. They only work in an EPUB version. So how do we save this again so that all that we want to utilize works properly? Well, we need to publish online. Publish online. I can update existing, publish. It's going to then upload the document to Adobe's cloud, which is going to give me either the link I want, or I could just publish it and send it to an email. I'm going to show you though, I want you guys to utilize the link, because the link is a way of turning it in as an interactive PDF, but it's actually an interactive PDF that simply is linkable to the cloud. You see how much longer it takes now to upload because it's using a 111 megabyte video in the file. If I had just used a YouTube link or some other link to a drive, it would not be giving me that issue. Okay, let's just temporarily view it, double check it all. Okay, so again, my pop-ups are properly working because it's an interactive EPUB. My galleries, like for software, are working. If I were to click on a button, those are working. Okay, going to my website, I could also just click on the hyperlinks. They're taking me to things like email options or information that's embedded in the resume, like work, school, things like that. I do find it interesting that these drop shadows they got cut off. Do you see that? That's kind of curious. What if I want to go to the video resume? Hey, look at that, it works. I can hit play.
Hello,
Okay.
everybody. My name is Simeon Douglas Liebman. I've been teaching in the media arts and computer animation industry for 18 years. I've been.
Let me hit pause a second. I do notice now, though, that my whatever you want to call that option that was down here, picture in picture, doesn't work, and my full screen doesn't work. So I don't know what the bug is with that, but here again, I could go to gallery this way, or I could return back to my resume and go to gallery this way. That's my image gallery. So we're able to start embedding a lot of stuff in here than just the classic, boring, black text, white paper resume. I don't have to, I can focus more on the interesting design of my resume because I have more options for embedding links and things like that than just having it typed out. I have given the reader of the ability of jumping to places, visiting sites, you know, going and discovering areas. See, so Facebook.com, right? I've got elements of galleries. It's just a more interactive, exciting, entertaining, fun way of creating a file than just a classic Word print kind of boring resume. But what I want to focus on, besides just showing it that, hold on. How do we then save this or export this so we can actually do it and turn it in the best way possible? Well, we copy the URL. So I just hit copy and close. Then I can go with a new document. It's the default, which is the 8.5 by 11. I know that already. Just go and create it. Grab my text, drag, and paste. That is the link to Adobe's cloud. Pick a nice, decent font. Do that. And with it's currently selected, I can right click and make it into a new hyperlink as well that goes to that destination. See? Going to the URL of that destination. So that now that eDoc can be saved with all that possibility as an interactive PDF because this will now link to it. I see a chat there, just wait 1 second. What else can I do? I can make a box, fill it black. I need to get into a QR code for this. Let me see what this chat says really quickly. Is there a way to be directed to errors that pop up? Example would be HTML where you can click it. It tells you where the errors. Yes, it will tell us if there's errors on the page with this big green thing that says no errors. If I do have errors, you'll get a big red dot there. And it'll give you the option of looking up what the error is. I'll show you that in a sec. Here, I'm going to go generate QR code. I want this QR code to be a web hyperlink. Paste again the link, double check the color so it's a proper color. And now I get a QR code saved. Again, no errors. See that? There is a way, like you said, if I go into my layout here, just get this, and I go to my Windows workspace and tell it to be interactive PDF, I think it is. And you go to links, you'll see here in the link section, it will provide information. Is it links? Maybe it's not links. Maybe it's hyperlinks. Yeah, I see all my hyperlinks are green. So they're all active and working. Let's see here. Looking for buttons and forms, but buttons and forms. Yeah, see, it's not giving me a green light here, but it is giving me no errors down here. If there was a broken link, okay, something as simple as well, here, let me do this. It's a button. Like let's assume I spelled LinkedIn wrong, right? It will eventually calculate that, and I will get an error here that says that link is not working properly. And if we double click, it'll actually give me that error that says what's working. I don't know why it's delaying on me here, but that link should not work anymore. So there is just, if you look at this, it could be something as simple as if, you know, your text is beyond, see, that works. That gives me an error. See that? It's telling me that, hey, what is the error? If I double click that, it says your text, see, your text is overset. If I double click it, it actually will select where the problem is, which will allow me then to expand until I get the no error option. So here we have this though. This link is ready to go, right? Or this interactive PDF, I've got this as a hyperlink, and this QR code means I could even put a phone up to it and do a link. So all I really need to do to turn this in as the final example is an export as an interactive PDF, right? And I could simply say Friday resume, export, and it will work here whether I use the link above here to get to it. See, if I click, oh, now it says document not found. It's probably, again, this is probably the wrong link. I hate that. This is where it would be beneficial here to figure out, because I did this Wednesday too, and let's just update existing, okay. And what I copied and pasted was just the wrong link. That's all it was. Which means I'd probably have to edit the QR code if that's incorrect as well. This is where, once you're done and you're ready to publish your final one, leave the window open that says copy. And I've been doing this so many times again and again and again that Adobe, my cloud is probably full. I probably need to go back and clean it. Come on, finish up. Go. I'm not going to view it. I'm just going to copy. You could even get an ID FDF0077. Just copy that. It does say FDF blah, blah, blah here. Just paste it. Highlight it. Go to my new hyperlink. I'll just say new hyperlink from URL. There we go. That's it. And come in here, object, edit QR code. Make sure that this one is pasted and okay. So now this should work if I export it again. Friday resume. And this now should take me to the EPUB. or the QR code. That is curious. Oh, now it's going to work. Okay. So the error not found was just an error on the fact of, yeah, it worked. See, go to image gallery, chug through my images. I can go back to my resume. My pop-ups all work and close. My software gallery now is working as well. I can embed my resume.
Hello, everybody. My name is Simeon. I'm teaching in the media arts.
Again, pop-up is not working here. Back to resume. And so in a nutshell, you're seeing how things work. Now, this is a second page here that I could just jump in my PDF interactive viewer here. See this? But this is really what I want to use. I don't want to use the interface of, what am I in? Microsoft Edge or whatever they call this. I don't want to use this. I want to use the link. And that's what's kind of funny is that automatically wants to go to or preview, right?